This is our COVID story. It's the story of a small group of third age art students living in Eltham on the outskirts of Melbourne in Victoria. It's about how, during the COVID pandemic, we coped with fear, isolation and technological change. It's about our Pan Art project. What did we do? What did we learn? How did we achieve and how did we stay positive and connected during the long lockdowns? Well, 2020 was a difficult year, but there were also positives. With the support of our local council, Nillumbik Shire and Nillumbik University of the Third Age, our U3A artists group embarked on a journey which was, above all, a collaborative response to a changing world. This is our Pan Art project. I'm Leanne Epson. I'm a tutor for the U3A painting and drawing class. U3A is University of the Third Age, and in Nillumbik there are many classes, but ours has been going for the last 7 years with Brenda Smith as the tutor to begin with, and then I came in to help 2 or 3 years later.
Hello, I'm Brenda Smith and I'm assistant to Leanne, and I've lived in Eltham for over 50 years.
2020 started really well and we had 5 new members, started our classes at Eltham High School, but that COVID virus was declared a pandemic and all classes had to finish and we had to decide how we were going to continue. Fiona Vuong contacted us to say would we like to apply for a grant, which we thought was a great idea. So in successfully achieving that, we were then launched on the idea of connecting with Zoom once a week, and we've made 3 or 4 demonstration films on how to paint with acrylic, how to set up our equipment, how to paint with watercolours, how to paint with flow technique, and we've also produced a series of cards from our former collaborative work.
I think our best surprise was when we actually produced a book with Judy Vasari as the designer, the pandemic card. We're very thrilled about that, and so were all the members, weren't they?
Yeah. So we had about 60 pages with 100 pieces of work that had been produced at home by various members, and we'd only seen it when it was displayed on our Zoom meeting. So to have an actual physical book produced that other people who didn't have that connection with our class could realise just how valuable art as a therapy and art as a connecting force is. So we had things like Chris Canning's artwork or other things like animals and cards, and so we had various birds, and it just gave us a source of communication. We could share experiences we'd had, places we'd been or hadn't been, walks we'd been on, and then to see each other's work eventually produced in colour like this was just so exciting. And we've been able to distribute this now. Fiona sent it to libraries, hospitals, old people's homes, individuals who haven't had any connection through their computers.
Yeah, especially the ones in aged care where they've only been allowed to have one member of the family. Yeah. It's been absolutely brilliant for them to be able to see the book and themselves follow those films that we're talking about, how to paint in acrylics.
And our oldest member was Kath Keppel. She's 94 and has been in a hospital room for the last 8 months. She was thrilled to have that book delivered to her, to show it to her own daughters, to show it to her nurses and doctors. She's been so proud to be involved, and to have her name and face included has been such a connecting force for her that we're really proud for her to be able to be part of our group still.
And especially, well, you know, I don't own a mobile, and I knew nothing about, I've got a computer, but I knew nothing about Zoom or any other techniques until members of the group taught me how, and they would talk you through it. So what were some of those skills that we learned?
Well, the Zoom meeting altogether.
Yes.
And then share screen, so we could take a particular photo of something that we've done, and then we could put it up so that everybody could have the advantage of seeing it up close.
Yes. Oh, that was a marvellous thing.
And so Lilia taught you, and Doris knew how to do it herself. So we were each teaching each other, and then we could ask on Zoom, how do you do this, or remind us how to do that again. So even that alone was, it extended all of our skills, didn't it?
It did, and it's perfectly fitted to visual, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I think we were doing better really with art than if you had something like a choir where you had to aspire or listen.
Yeah.
I think it suited art and creativity very well indeed.
Yeah.
When World Health declared the pandemic, I decided I'm living in a historical time. For instance, my parents couldn't remember the Spanish flu, even though many lives throughout the war were taken. So I was going to write a daily diary, a serious daily diary, recording everything from what Donald Trump did to what we in the U3A did and what family and friends did. And it's been a terrific exercise because when we were writing the book, I was able to use the diary to say exactly when we eased stage 2 restrictions, for instance, or on June the 17th, when Victoria recorded 21 new cases in one day and the second spike started. And that's when we had to tailor our art courses to fit in the small amount of time that we're able to even go out and exercise. And many of our topics that we did actually were looking through the window or being in the garden looking back at the house. And because that's more or less all we could do at the time. But amazingly, everybody followed the diary. And eventually we started towards Christmas coming out of it. We were able to be more resourceful and take on a broader scope. And it led us down the path of what was happening globally. And I must say, we felt pretty blessed when you follow the diary what has happened here in Melbourne. I feel pretty proud of being a Melbourne artist.
So how did the pandemic affect me? It was really tough being in lockdown, and we noticed lots of people walking past with their children, and in the hour they had that they could do their exercise. So what I decided to do was, our fence fell down and I got my husband to cut the pieces of wood up and I made them started painting these chooks. We named them ISO chooks. And we gave away over 1,000. Lots of people would come by on their hour walk and they'd pick up a chook and they'd take it home and put it in their garden. Lots of people have really enjoyed the fun of the ISO chooks, and I'm sure it helped people, the whole community, get through a tough time.
What frustrated me was not being able to go out to an art gallery or, and seeing my friends, of course, all that sort of thing. But no, I didn't mind it too much. It was hard. What was hard about it was making sure that there was a routine that I followed.
I think a lot of people, other than, I really missed being able to see family and friends and get together in hobby groups. But other than that, I actually liked the pandemic in the sense that it forced me to stay home and do things that I wanted to do. So I did lots of baking, I tried to paint, I did sewing, I did any Zoom class that was on through anything, Glen Ira Library, U3A, anywhere. I just did Zooms as much as possible.
This year's been quite a good year for me in a way because I've had time during all that isolation where I could do some art stuff, which was lovely. I've also learned about Zoom, which I didn't know about before.
I was just doing everything else I could think of. I also started an online photography course to actually be able to use my new mobile phone a little bit better. I got really quite reasonably good with the social media. I enjoyed my Zoom classes. I did whatever I had to do.
I've been doing the writing and the art, both of which I love, but I've also taken on a Zoom choir participating and Zoom learning Italian.
Well, one thing has taught me that I've got to learn how to do this IT stuff. I'm completely hopeless. I've really got to. Unfortunately, to put it in a nutshell, the quicker 2020 disappears and goes into the ether, the better. And I look forward to 2021 getting stuck into doing something.
I really found that my art was a great standby. Thoroughly enjoy everything I've learned at U3A, and I'm just trying to apply that in the moments that I have between caring for the kids and the grandkids and doing my daily routines, not to mention my exercises, my Pilates. But the one constant is the art. That's something I can turn to whenever I want to, and I thoroughly enjoy experimenting.
During the COVID crisis, we were actually benefited in some ways in that we couldn't do any, our external activities sort of ceased. So we had time then to devote to U3A projects, and one of them was art. And so Glenn and I are happy that we had that time in order to develop some little skill. The COVID was good and bad.
Walking, cooking, cleaning. When we first locked down, I was so proud of myself. I'd say once a week my house got cleaned from top to bottom. Wow. And then all of a sudden I thought, what am I doing this for? Who's coming into this house to see it? And that was the finish of that. There's no point in finishing anything seriously. I can't see the point in it. My family came over at the weekend for the first time in 9 months. There is stuff everywhere in our house. Not one word was said about, oh, look what, look at that.
All your paintings.
We could walk around the house naked and they wouldn't even notice. It's unbelievable. When they left, John said, well, you're going to keep on with your painting, Anyway, what I've done, which I've really enjoyed, is I've looked at all the artists like Willem de Kooning, and I've thought, I'm going to paint like him. So that'd last a week or 10 days. So I've been going through all the artists and making these great messes, and now I'm into cubism. I really like that. But I haven't got to the painting part yet. I'm still in the drawing part. But that's where it's been really good. So I've sort of, if you want to know about any of the artists now, just ask me. I'll tell you what they do, how much they achieve.
I've lived in Eltham for over 50 years, and I've been drawn here for the same reason that artists have come here from the early days. It's such a wonderful area to be in, the community with the Yarra River and the wonderful trees. People like Walter Withers used to come and have picnics here, and then he brought other artists, and he eventually lived here. His house is still standing. Hans Harson visited him, and there's been a continuous tradition of artistic endeavour in Eltham. For instance, there's been Clifton Pugh at Dunmooching, Peter Glass, Clara Southern, well known for her beautiful waterscapes along the River Yarra. David Armfelt has been a painter here, as has Albert Tucker of Heidelberg fame. It's always attracted artists and continues to do so. Recently, the council put a wonderful exhibition on at Montsalvat of current artists reflecting on the aspects of COVID virus that have come here. Now, not many councils can do that, but you can. We have Montsalvat, which is a splendid art gallery, and a whole community of vibrant, energetic, creative people. I would like to say that it would be really wonderful if out of COVID year we could continue this tradition and put our hands up as the regional art centre here in Eltham. Where else is better placed?
I did do art years and years and years ago, not well, but I did enjoy it. And so this has just been a really great opportunity to come and to meet new people and to explore and to get all the advice that you've given and such encouragement. And wow.
Joined U3A in Eltham because I was very interested in restarting my painting that I started back in the year 2000. And it was the best thing I've ever done because of the company and the skills that I've learnt since.